I just think all of that has to change. We realize the benefits of AI as soon as possible. We beat the Chinese there. We dominate the world in AI. We lead the future. We get all those benefits. We take care of everybody, smooth out the rough edges and the rough patches. And then when we get into this post-AI future, we can all decide how much we want to work. And that is freedom. Be like, I don't really want to work at all. It's like, okay, the government gives you a couple $100 a month, or you live in some cheap area, but you're happy. Everything in between, and you can flex. I see that as good society. Hi, everybody. This is John from Real Veteran News, and Mary, also from Real Veteran News. Hi, Mary.
Hi, John. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah. Back for an episode 2. We've been trying to figure out how to start the show and how to get going. My plan is to do one-on-one videos with especially the people that I've been doing videos with a while, so that they will be in the channel, and that, like, say somebody is interested in you, they can go to the one in the beginning where you're first on, or get to know you. I mean, I did a lot of videos in the beginning where I was just me, and I was saying a lot of things that I think, but I'm trying to build up, the other people that are going to be in the beginning of this channel. And then eventually, hopefully, it's very much more broad. But for now, we're kind of like building this like a brick at a time here. So in the first episode, Mary, and you can introduce yourself fully in a second, but I'm just saying, Mary's going to be like the first co-host for the show, and my main co-host. The concept is eventually to have it be 4 people on a show, and we analyze the news that way. But I want to build up at least like the core people, at least in the beginning, and have these episodes of one-on-one. So I'm working on scheduling. I'm reaching out to other people who have been on the show, who are my friends, and I'm just reaching out, getting them scheduled, working on people's schedules right now. So I'm going to try to keep this going. We have Mary again this week too, because she was available and is a good friend and has signed up for the show. So and I'm working on signing up other people as well, other veterans and veteran community type people. So Mary, I give a little update on like the show structure and stuff, but what do you have to say? Would you like to introduce yourself again?
Sure. My name is Mary Kubik. I'm the Gold Star sister of Sergeant Ronald Kubik. He was 375 Ranger Battalion and gave his life in Afghanistan in 2010. I moved to Columbus, Georgia, pursuing my degree in social work to work with the Ranger and veteran community.
That's right. We talked a little bit last week about your nonprofit volunteering and your career in social work.
And singing.
Singing. Yes, we talked about your singing. We also, I think last week too, we talked about the recruiting crisis. We did not talk about Afghanistan. We talked about China a little bit, mostly about Taiwan. I mean, because there's like the chip war, there's some other economic issues, and then like Taiwan's like the big thing. We talked about that. And I have been coming up with stuff that I'm interested in for this week that I want to talk about. But first thing I want to talk about is what's wrong with Mason and why isn't he on my show? And I want to ask you that, Mary. What do you think is wrong with Mason, and why is he not on the show?
I think that he's just got a problem with contracts and
Mason. Okay, who has? Okay, I mean, just like refuses to sign contracts. Like you mark it up, or you like curse the person out, or something like that. Or you just refuse to sign anything. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, okay, Mason was the first person to do videos with me, and before Mason, it was just me, and you've seen when it's just me, I seem crazy, right? When there's other people, I don't seem as crazy, especially with Mason, because people are like, John's nowhere near as weird as this guy. So they actually started listening to me, and they're like, and then my other friends are like, I'll be on too. And, but Mason really like broke the ice, right? And he is kind of like an OG on, my videos, and he needs to be on the fucking videos. I have this model here where I want to introduce these people, and I'm glad that I can't get enough of Mary. Want to do Mary, but like I was trying to get Mason to be on this show, and he just like flat out refused, basically, because I'm starting a business, and I have a lawyer, and a lawyer has provided me with contracts so that we can actually start a business here. Businesses have contracts. Everyone has to follow process. Everyone got to be treated the same. Everyone's got to, help me build the business. And then once we actually have a real business, then I can generously include you in the business. Okay. And all these people pretty much on this channel are long-term friends of mine and will be included in the business and will be stakeholders in the business and all that. This is essentially like a hobby for me. All right. I'm not trying to like do some get rich quick scheme, mess anyone out of it or anything like that. But as a leader of the business, everyone needs to get in formation and go through the onboarding so that I can build up a roster. Once I have a roster of people who have been through the business's onboarding, then I can start scheduling shows. And then we can have some consistency for the people who do want to watch this show and do want to hear our opinions. And everybody, we're all veterans and we're all loudmouths and stuff. We all want, well, not everyone's a loudmouth, but everyone's got something to fucking say. So if you want to come on the show with me and with Mary and, have this be a part of your life, then just fucking do it and join the team and do this, right? Otherwise, and this is the time in your life, if you know me and you're already bona fide and you're already like been on my shows and, you either decide whether you want to be here and stand with me and stand up with Mary and do videos and talk about the military and build up a community and a following and see where it goes, or you just go on doing whatever the fuck it is that you're doing. What do you think, Mary? Do you agree with me, or do you have a different outlook on this?
I mean, I agree in that everything that we do, we're signing contracts all the time. Every app we download where we hit OK, we've basically agreed to them to stalk our entire lives and everything we do on our phone. So your contract was much less invasive. And I don't see any qualms with signing it to be on the show, especially since he's like foundation root original guest, the OG of the John Show.
He is an OG. And like the point of it is, okay, this goes back, like I've had obviously known Mason for a long time. I've had a lot of conversations with him. It's this thing between us. We're both entrepreneurs. We're both trying to build technology. We're both military veterans. We've got a lot of things in common. But his view on things is like, you got to go it alone. Like be a solo entrepreneur. And look, I have done that for a very, very long time. I've been on my own. I've been looking for partners for a very, very long time. I've done a lot of businesses essentially on my own. I started a CrossFit gym on my own, which nobody fucking does. Everybody does it with their wife or like somebody else. Nobody starts a CrossFit gym on their own. I did it, ran the gym and all that. I've done that. Like I'm not saying I'm tired, but like I know that I cannot get to the next level of my career without a team. And when I started like pouring my heart out into these videos a couple years ago, been doing this for 2 years already. Invested a lot of time and money into this, and it was just me. I mean, other people were on the videos, and I hired a variety of people. I eventually hired Mary, who's my most successful like person helping me like to date, and you've been great. Thank you. Eventually because of life events, I had to stop doing the unauthorized media stuff, and we're starting up again. But it's like I'm trying to build a more sophisticated show. I'm trying to build a show that doesn't consume my life because my brain has to be free for me to do thinking and like read the fucking news and stuff like that. I can't be like just spending all my time like editing videos and like corralling like, veterans with different issues and stuff like that, trying to like make this shit happen. And I probably am the only person on earth that can actually like make something like this happen, and I intend to do it. But it's like, I have to build a team around me that, not only can be on the show, but also can do video editing and this other stuff like that. I'm just at the stage of this. Like I'm a video producer. Like I've been making videos, like just pulling it together by myself for a long time. I'm at the next stage of things. In order to do that, in order to work with other people, in order to build a real business that can actually like make a dent into anything that's going on in the world, it isn't just John screaming into a camera and a couple of his friends. Obviously I have to have fucking lawyers. Obviously we have to sign contracts. We all have to, participate in it and make sure that we are all protected. This is how businesses are run. I mean, I would be more alarmed if I was engaging with a business and they're like, yeah, we're cool.
Just do whatever.
Yeah, we're cool. Keep it light. You know what I mean? Nothing. Like nothing. You know what I'm saying? So to me, my perspective is that I think this is a natural progression of the show. I've already made my intentions transparent to everybody who's involved so far. I'm recruiting people to be on the show. Right now, it's just me and Mary. And also Chuck, who signed recently. But needs a microphone, so also is not here today.
But soon.
But yes, soon. Like, realistically, we need Mason. Sometimes it's annoying, but like everybody wants Mason on the show. I mean, we all have been doing this for years. I mean, everybody's watched him even before because he was the first person. Everybody's inherently seen him. We work well together. He's obviously talented. We all want this engagement, right? So let's just get past the fucking contract stuff. Like, obviously, I'm not going to back down, but I'm going to be like, nah, Mason can just like free ball it, the whole time. Everybody has to do the same thing. We've all been in the military. We understand how this works. It's just a business. It is not anything onerous. It's one click. It's a fucking e-doc. Like, just open your motherfucking email, pull that shit up. It's got your name prefilled. Just be like, bing, and then it'll pop up in my email, and I'll be like, welcome to the motherfucking team, Mason. But right now, you can't be on the show because you didn't click the click. What do you think, Mary?
I think he should sign it, and then he can always go back. I mean, I just think it protects everyone involved. It protects you. It protects the platform. It protects our opinions. It protects, I don't know. I actually read what I sign, and I read it, and I didn't see anything in it that I wouldn't put my signature on. So plus we trust you. So I don't know I honestly don't understand what the issue is with it. I'd like maybe just to have him on for one episode to explain his issue with contracts.
He wants to be difficult. He wants attention from me. Like, you got my fucking attention. This show's all about you now, motherfucker. You know what I mean? You're not here. You're sitting at home with your fucking dog, doing whatever you're doing. And you should be here, and Mary's busy. Mary shouldn't have to like pull her life out to like back me up. And thank you, Mary, for backing me up. Like, you're a real one. But you know what I mean? I'm trying to make this happen. All right. So just, you want the attention. You want me to admit that your way of doing everything on a solo basis is legitimate. Yes, and some, like, you wrote a novel. Yes, you can do a novel by yourself. Some of this stuff like that, but like, it's unrealistic for you to try to force your opinions on me. Like, I'm not trying to tell you how to run your business. I do give you advice, sometimes solicited or not, just like with all my friends and people that I know, because I'm that way. But like, I'm just saying, you probably get it from my mom. But what I'm saying is that it's my business that I'm starting. It will be our business, but right now it's my business, and you're trying to be like, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't do contract. Like a basic fucking media agreement. Nothing like crazy. You're trying to, it's like you're preaching to me or something. It's just like, let me run my shit the way I want to do it. If you don't want to be involved, but like, give me a real fucking reason if you don't want to be involved. Not like, I'm not going to sign this, basic, non-binding, basically contract. So simple. I mean, like, so basic, like such a basic starting point. And it also just signals that, you're just going to be obstreperous and just be a fucking asshole all the fucking time about every little thing and get wrapped up around every little thing. Although he has been very reliable on like shoots, being on shoots, he's always prepared. He has things to say. He has, and that is needed. But, some of this stuff, it's like, like I said, these personality issues, like everyone's got their thing. I do too, obviously. We all do. But, like, we got to get past this shit and just get on to the next stage. So, anyway.
Oh, good. Sign it, Mason. Just sign it.
Sign that shit. Everybody else, too. Everybody, let's get going.
It's so basic. Like, I would be the first to admit if I was like, there was something in there that was questionable. And it was more simple than what we signed for phones.
I own your soul now, Mary Kubik.
I mean, it was so simple. I mean, I signed off on worse things just to take a quiz on Facebook, like, we have the right to your name, your friends list, your email address. It's like, okay, I want to know what color my soul is, I know.
First topic. I gave Mary some topics. I usually curate articles and all this, but like, I got to do everything. I'm editing the videos and everything. We're building up. But like, some of these things, broad level. We're just, at this point in the show, I don't want to be micro-focusing on, the range of some hypersonic missile on some B-2 stealth bomber or something like that. I don't want to get there right now. I want people to understand, obviously, where I'm coming from, how I think, what I'm thinking about things, like what I think is important. Same thing with Mary. And so we're going to work on these like higher level topics so we can express like our basis opinions on some of these it lets you know, it's like signposts or like these like foundational stones of like with regard to the military and stuff like that. So first topic is the draft is stupid. And Mary, do you think the draft is stupid?
Yes. I don't think especially at the level that we're at in terms of not in a real conflict situation, I don't think that we need to be drafting people right now. Plus, it kind of makes the pool of people that you're getting less particular if you're drafting them. I think we'd be better off taking people that are just underneath amazing and working them up to what we need them to be versus just drafting people into the military. Yeah, it's stupid. Right now it's stupid. World War II, not stupid. Now it's stupid.
On World War II, most people wanted to join anyway, so it wasn't like a heavily conscripted war.
Mm-hmm.
Other countries, maybe more so, especially. But, it's a relic, right? I mean, military history is an unending chain of events and battles and stratagems and military leaders and books from all the way back to basically up to now. And humans have been fighting each other since the beginning of time. And in World War II, they used it. It wasn't that useful after that. It was useful in Vietnam because nobody wanted to go because everyone was having a good time in the U.S.
Yeah.
Everybody was having a good time.
Woo!
Nobody wanted to go get their dick shot off in fucking Vietnam. That's why it wasn't popular. There were some patriots and some people who bought into it. And
I just think that also the nature of the war, if you see something like World War II, you're going to fight to save lives of people that are being thrown into ovens and literally worked to death. And you're looking at Vietnam, and a lot of people were looking at it like, why are we going? What's the point? What's the cause?
Yeah, but they didn't know about the ovens when they went to war. That was
to World War II. They did it. Well, they knew that they were killing Jewish people by.
Yeah, but I mean, nobody. That's not why they went to human rights crimes. But mostly, I want to focus on just like winning and losing and stuff like that. Like these human rights things is like terrible, and and sometimes it makes like propaganda here and there. But realistically, it's like the conscription was used in order to fill out the military, so we had the forces necessary to defeat one enemy and then the other. And that was done, and then we ramped down. Vietnam was like this quagmire thing that lasted for a while and got we just had this like sunk cost fallacy and just kept pouring men in there. That really hurt the draft, almost destroyed the military. We're also at a low point in the military now, but it's like a digitally created don't join the military thing. The draft is not popular, obviously. Nobody wants to be drafted. I don't even think most of these people would go. I mean, if there was like a real war and they're like, all right, time to draft everyone up, like people aren't going to go. You think these kids are going to go? They're not going to do it. And so it's like this, they added women to it. And like, I mean, yeah, there's some women that would go in the military. There's some women that would go if drafted, but there's a lot of women that are really like, I've got 2 kids. Like, you're not drafting me in the military, or they're not like fighting women. You know what I mean? And the idea that all men and all women are going to be in this draft and the government's going to randomly pick people and all those people are going to show up and go fight. Like, it's idiotic. Plus they're going to have no training. You're going to draft someone and she's like, I'm a graphic designer. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do exactly here. Maybe for an alien war, like the only exception I can think of is the alien war. Okay, obviously we both think it's dumb. You think it's dumb?
Yes, no, I agree. I think it's stupid, especially right now. But I don't think that people wouldn't be willing to go if there was a big enough cause. Part of what made Hitler evil wasn't just he was killing people, ruthlessly killing people. So it wasn't just to defeat Hitler. It was to stop the slaughter. A lot of the soldiers that came back, that was the impact. Like, because they never directly met Hitler, but they did directly encounter the lives that were being tortured in the camps,
Yeah, so, but that's after. I mean, you're already in fucking Europe. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you just like jumped into Holland and you killed all these Germans and you found the camps and you're like, oh, we stopped this. That's cool. But like, what motivates the people and like gets them in the uniform, trained and there as part of this like military war machine?
My brother didn't join the army to kill. He joined the army.
We don't use that word anymore.
Well, now it's very PC. Sorry. I know what it means too. Like, it's not really appropriate. I apologize. But that was the word he would have used. But that is not why he joined, at least not explicitly in the initial. And he stayed for the guy to the left and the right. But it was to protect the rights and freedom of other. I mean, that was his reason. He was going to school for criminal justice to do that. And he thought he could have a bigger impact doing that overseas.
Yeah, he's an idealist. I get it.
Yeah. Well, there are people that are. So, I mean, yeah, obviously he's an exception. But...
Yeah, there's all different types. While I was reading that book I told you about with the Matthew Weiss, We Don't Want You, Uncle Sam. I got it wrong last time. I was reading it this weekend, and he said there's 4 types of people that join the military. Basically, one is people that need a job, people that believe in the country, people that, I think there's one where it's like people that do it for like basically family. It's like a family business, like you're essentially your military family. And then there's people that just want to like fucking kill and fight. So I mean, and I thought about it in my mind. I started like bucketing people, and you know what I mean. It's true. Yeah. So he is that type. You know what I mean. And he struck me like, I mean, now I'm an adult now. I can reverse process this. When I was young with him, and we were just kids basically. But yeah, he was that type. So Anyway, so the draft. Now, like I said, will people show up? Probably not anyway. It depends on the war and the situation and how much
Yeah.
enforcement is put into it as well. And it's super unpopular. I think it makes the military look bad. They say they have an all volunteer force, but they got the draft like in their hip pocket,
Mhm.
which is kind of bullshit, right? You'd be like, well, you're okay, so you're trying to get me to sign up, and it's like, if I don't want to, you're basically like, I could make you sign up. Like, if I really needed to, you're like, you're gonna, So, a surprise for you. My father was drafted. If his eyes weren't so bad, they were like, your eyes are too bad. Get out of here. That's why I'm here, because I don't know if he would have survived in Vietnam. Maybe he would have, but he would have been a different man, and I wouldn't be here, obviously. Chaos theory. He might not have lived. It's stupid, right? And it's like, if you're gonna draft people, draft strategic business leaders and strategic technology people from like MIT, from like Facebook. Like, you don't work at Facebook anymore. You work for the Air Force. Like, sorry.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Sorry about your luck. Drafting some gas station guy out in Iowa.
Have you ever seen The Last Starfighter? It was a movie called The Last Starfighter, and it's an old movie. I mean, I'm 41. It's an old movie, and it's this kid who's playing a video game, but because he beats the video game, that's how the aliens are recruiting somebody to help them defend their planet. So if we were doing something like that in an alien fight, we could actually legitimately use it as testing grounds.
I do recall that like storyline. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I think of when you're like gas station in Iowa, because it was this middle of the nowhere place where this one video game was, and that's how they were recruiting to see like who could be a starfighter. So
yeah. Well, there's a South Park too where Kenny was playing his game for like heaven against like the demon hell, and then there was like a religious battle in South Park. Yeah, so concept of a kid playing a game and controlling like a real world army, but being like unaware, like the kid would probably freak out if they knew they were killing real people, obviously.
Right.
But, like, they're just using their childlike reflexes. So yeah, it's a theme. I think there should be a mechanism. Okay, I see this as common sense. I think there should be a mechanism for the military to be able to like round up the posse. You know what I mean? Like, all right, get all the boys, get all the guns. Like, we got something to do. But I think that it should be a voluntary draft. I think you have to have like a draft. I think you should call it not a draft because it's like associated.
There's that name. Like, it's got to have a different name because as soon as you put that name on it.
Yeah, and make it voluntary, and it's like an organ donor. Maybe it goes on your license. And like honestly, a lot of this shit with these politicians, the only thing next to their name is an R or D. It's like, so fuck that. I want to see if they're an organ donor. I want to see if they're a military veteran. I see if they're registered for the draft. I mean, you assume they're all registered for the draft. I mean, I have this another idea I'll explain another time. But I mean, some of this stuff should be displayed on these ballots and maybe on like your job resume or something like that, so people can see like what you've contributed to the world, other than just like managing like a hedge fund or whatever. And not about anyone in particular. Just real deal stuff. Like, do you do this? Or, I mean, if you die, is your liver gonna? Are we just gonna like throw it in the trash or like burn it up or something? Or is that gonna go to like a guy who's got 3 kids that want their dad for 10 more years or something? You know what I mean? I think that it should be voluntary. Maybe there's like levels of it where you're like willing to like do the National Guard or like whatever. It should be individualized. We've already talked about Gen Z. I mean, Gen Z, we have to cater to them essentially because they're like the generation that the military needs. But I mean, it's gonna have to be more individualized. It needs to be like, okay, if there's an emergency, can we call you? You know what I mean? And it needs to be a checkout to be like, are you healthy? Maybe once a year they have to go to get a physical and be like, all right, well, even if you wanted, like, we don't want you, so you're off. Maybe there's like a little bit of a benefit to where it's like, something with their school or whatever. I don't know. There needs to be just like different ways to engage with the military. Again, I was reading this book, but I've also been thinking a lot of the same things myself. But there needs to be different ways for young people to be able to engage with the military where they'd be like, hey, I'll come in on the weekends, or I'll do this, or I can do it this way or whatever. And the only ways right now are you either go to West Point, you are in college and you join ROTC, or you enlist and you just roll the fucking dice. You know what I mean? Anything could happen to you. It's just an unappealing option for the young people, which is then causing like the military to implode. Talking about the draft, what do you think about stop loss? That's what's coming. They're just going to stop loss people. This is the shadow draft, right? Like they up re-enlistment bonuses to entice people to stay in. They're basically recruiting from within the military when you do that organizationally. And then if they have to, like in Iraq, they'll stop loss you. So you're not drafting citizens everyone's going to be pissed off about. Plus, you don't really want them because they're not trained anyway. You want the people who like know what they're doing. So you stop loss the guy from the 82nd Airborne. You stop loss, whoever. And it's never officers. It's always like NCOs because that's who you need. It's like a shadow draft on the guy that wants to get out, who is intending to get out. And there's like horror stories of this from back in the day. Stop loss. What do you think about stop loss? What do you think about these ways of fudging around the numbers?
I'd actually never heard the term until I was working at the rec center, and there's a movie called Stop Loss, and it had Ryan Felipe in it. That's exactly what they did to those soldiers, and they were like, they'd just been in a previous mission, and they all planned on getting out because they had been in an IED explosion, and they made them all go back. And it basically, the way it ends is you get the visual that they did not make it back from that next trip. But I think that it's wrong to do that. Plus, I think if your mental health has been through as much as a lot of the guys who've deployed multiple times you're almost like going to do a disservice or a damage if you're not actually functioning at 100% when you deploy. Like you're not going to be able to listen to, process, comprehend, and do in my opinion, I haven't been there, but like the task or mission in the most logical, reasonable way, because your emotions are going to take over. And I could be wrong, but I've met a lot of guys who are really tired and worn down, and picturing the idea of them going overseas, right, would devastate me. And I just don't think they'd make it internally, even if they survive physically.
And the military is geared towards this 20-year service. But then it's like, when these guys are in their 20s and early 30s, it's like rotation. And then it's like, well, you still got to do 20. And they're like, what else am I going to do? And so then they go be a drill sergeant. Then they go work a staff job. You need to be recruiting people and deploying people that want to be deployed. The thing that wore bottom out of the whole military, and especially the Army and the Marines, were these lock you in, like, I got to do one more deployment. I got to do 2 more deployments. And then they're telling all their friends, and then it becomes like a part of their life where it's like, oh, I would have gotten out of the Marines earlier, but I still had to do one more. They sent me for 18 and all this stuff happened and whatever. But it's like, if people don't want to go anymore, like, don't send them anymore. If you're a Marine and you were in like Fallujah or something like that might just be your last one. I talk about psychological testing and psych assessments like before going into the military, but they need to be reassessed at like every stage of their career. But like have like a career counselor and mentors and stuff like that, and people who care. And like I understand, like it's like all this sounds great, John, and it's not even a who's going to pay for it thing, because we know that if they want to pay for something, they can pay for it. It's not a who's going to pay for it. It's just like the organization is just so old and dated, and like people don't care enough, and the people in there don't. There's not enough good people to like really just revamp everything and like turn the whole military over to that, because the military is too big. It is too big. There's just too many people in the active duty military. It costs a ton of money, whatever. There needs to be like a tiered system where there's people who are like 24, like full-time ass military, people who are like military, like the back and forth, like, and not just this like 1 week in a month and stuff like that. That's just one option. There needs to be like tiers where you like in for a year, out for a year, or you go to school and then you come back. People need to be able to engage with the military, like not right now because I'm super fucking pissed off, but at an earlier time in my life, in the 10 years roughly since I got out of the military, I would have engaged. I mean, I kind of did. I mean, not the military. I mean, I was a contractor. That was what was open to me, basically. I had security clearance, stuff like that. But like, I could have, taken a week or two and, done like trained some ROTC kids, or I could have, done some, or anything, or I could have like gone down to Georgia and like run something for the Rangers so that those Rangers could go deploy or something. But the deployments are winding down and stuff. Or I could have done a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? I had an MBA. I mean, I could have like used my MBA, done like analysis, data analysis, worked on problems. Mary volunteered essentially for the Ranger Regiment and was working with the Gold Star families and the regiment, like as a liaison. There's just no way to do it. It's either you're in or you're out. And then that harms the interaction with the Gen Z. And the military needs to be older. Having these people in there so young, I mean, the only reason you have them in there so young is so you can pay them fucking nothing.
Yeah, like, and so they don't have the life experience to say, I'm not doing that, that's stupid.
Yeah, and they're still like impressionable at that time too. Yeah. Like, we should be getting people that are a little bit more solidified in who they are. We can find out if they're criminals or not. When you have someone come in the military when they're 18, like, you don't know if they're a criminal. I mean, like, you they're still figuring things out, you know? I mean, like, yeah, maybe some hotshots who are young, but like, we need to move the average age up to like mid 20s, ideally, and have less people, pay them more, have more psychological assessments on them. And also, like, these effects that are happening on people, the fact that we're sending people to war that are like 18, 19, 20, their bodies can physically do it because they're tough young men. But like, their brains are still kind of soft a little bit sometimes, and some of them can handle it, some of them can't. I've seen both situations. I went in, I was 23, and I had college. Not that the college helped at all, but I'm just saying, like, I'd been through like I'd had some solidification in my brain matter to some degree. Obviously, I was still very young and everything. But if I went in when I was like 18, I'd be like a warlord in Africa by now. You know what I mean? It's just, I was just able to address it better, and I understood much better than the other Rangers because I was a little bit older, especially younger ones, like the politics behind what we were doing and like what was happening in the broader world and where the Rangers and where we fit into it. And that was just a nuance of the situation. But like, if they were a little bit older, they would understand what they're doing and why they're doing a little bit better. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but like, there just needs to be wholesale changes. Otherwise, you're just not going to have anyone sign up because it sucks.
I mean, I think they keep them young on very intentionally. One, because they're impressionable, physically fit, most likely don't have families yet or people that they're leaving behind in that regard. So it's not like they're leaving behind for, if they join young, they're not. I would think they're not, unless they were very active little kids, leaving behind like 4 kids and a wife and all the dependents,
Everybody thinks they're not going to die, right? Like, if
right.
you're in the no one joins the military and be like, I'm going to die. You know what I mean? I mean, everyone thinks that it's not going to be them. And it's like, that's fine because, like, you just do what you have to do. And if it is you, it's like, well, you're dead. It's like everyone else is suffering, yes. But, like, the burden is not on the person who's gone. And so, they took their risk and, events turn out how they turn out.
I mean, I think instead of a draft, if it was more of a commissioning, so if maybe when people were getting their degrees or pursuing certain things, they could say, like, in case of war or whatever time, I would volunteer to be commissioned as an engineer or a drone pilot or whatever, depending, like if they recruit them in colleges that way, like, hey, just in case this happens, would you be willing to, commission for X amount of years or for, I would not say after this, the length of the conflict, but like say like 2 or 3 years if you're needed for that. Because I know that like within certain age groups, like social work is one of those things where you could be commissioned. So I wouldn't have to go through all the things, but they could commission me to be in the service.
Yeah, it's called a direct commission. I mean, okay, I forgot about direct commissions, but like, that's not really, like, Reds is like a little like, no, I mean, it's so small.
But if they made it a bigger deal.
It's for like lawyers and shit. Like, no one gives a fuck about the lawyers. You know what I mean? Like, but
well, if you extended it into like drone pilots and engineers and like,
but I mean, the whole officer thing needs to be re-figured out anyway. But I mean, yes, I mean, direct commissions. I want to see something where people can flow back and forth. Where it's like I do like 5 years in the military. That would have been very attractive to me when I was younger because it's like I'm giving up travel. Like I can't travel like Europe or travel anywhere I want to go really because I'm like in the fucking Ranger Regiment. And we're going to wars, which is cool, and nobody else gets to do that, and that's what I gave it up for. Like I have that experience that like very few had, and I got to be around people that very few people get around and be it. But I had to sacrifice these things, and it would have been much more attractive if it was like you can get out and then maybe do a master's degree or whatever, then you come back. Maybe you're an officer, maybe you're not. Maybe like maybe you go to the CIA, maybe you do this. Like if there was just like an easier way to do this. Rather than it's like, okay, I'm a Ranger and I want to join the CIA. So I have to essentially ETS out of the Rangers, quit that shit, go home, be totally out. And then I have to call up some number, that someone slips you for the CIA and they might call you back or they might not. You know what I mean? And they won't even tell you why they don't want you or whatever. You know what I mean? There's not like realistic way or a viable path for a young person to have like a risk-free career progression into the government and to do these roles and stuff like that and to flow back and to pull back if they want to pull back. If someone needs to pull back off the line, then they can pull back. Maybe they want to have kids. Maybe they want to get a PhD, whatever. But if you let them pull back and you let them live their life and you're like, we fucking support you. You are a good soldier. Go do what you got to do. Come back when you're ready to come back. Then they'll come back with a PhD and they'll be, so happy for you. And they'll be like, I'm back. You showed me respect. I have skills. I'm older. I'm wiser. I can solve your problems. I can participate. I have energy. And I care about the mission. But, everybody gets fucked.
I agree with that.
You know what I heard this saying in the military? Okay. I think I was a Ranger school, but this sergeant major came up, and it wasn't like a Ranger, but there was like a sergeant major, and I'm sure I think back because it's made an impression on me, and I remember it word for word. But it's like sometimes I think back, I don't remember what he looked like, but I think about like what he's been through when he said this. But he was like, man, he's like in the army. He's like, there's always someone waiting to fuck you in the ass. And I'm like, the sergeant major just said that to me. I'm like, who's fucking the sergeant major in the ass? I'm like, it rocked my world, because you see that sergeant major rank and you're like an E4 or something, and you're like, no one's fucking this guy in the ass. I'm the only one getting fucked in the ass. Nope. 20 years. And it's so true. And I've told that to so many people, and I've really hoped it's helped them. Because, you just need to understand that that's how the military is, right? But, yes, you will get fucked over. But you'll have amazing experiences. You will meet people. You will be actualized to do things. You can be an actual leader of things that matter. It can go bad sometimes, but for the people that learn how to be leaders, and then you go off in the world and you can be an FBI agent, you can be a this, you can be that, and you can earn some respect for yourself. That's one thing they never get in the recruiting commercials. Well, they're getting it a little bit now. They're doing it a little bit with familial respect. I've seen that in some of the commercials where it's your family's proud of you, but it's when you grow up as an adult in America, eventually you're going to leave your family. Mm-hmm. You have to go and explain who you are. You'd be like, I was a Ranger. I was a Navy SEAL. I was in the Army. I was in the Navy doing intel. I was a criminal investigator for the Marines or whatever. Whatever it is. As an adult, you're defined by these things that you did or you didn't do. And if you take the easy route, you're like, well, I'm just going to work here or work there. I'm not going to denigrate. And there's nothing to be denigrated. Everybody needs a job. But it's you have a choice. You can have a job or you can have a military career. And when you go meet people later on, if you worked in a restaurant or something like that, you're not going to be telling people about that. I worked in this restaurant in Wisconsin. That's not a part of you. There's no identity there, right? That's just you're doing something to get money, But you could be like, I was a Marine. I was in the Air Force. I was in the Space Force. Oh, what did you do? They're not going to be like, oh, I worked at a restaurant in Wisconsin. Oh, what was on the menu? Did you have any nice customers? How are the tips? No one gives a fuck. Sometimes in life, you got to go do something. Even if you're a rich kid, you got to go do something. It's something to do, honestly, for people. But there's a stigma against it. But, hopefully, I don't think they'll figure it out. But hopefully, collectively, the country figures it out. The Air Force missed their recruiting goals for the first time ever. Wow. The Air Force always has people because it's easy. And you can wear makeup and do all this stuff you can't do everyone else. They got pretty girls and they, you know what I mean? Now, okay, there's some people in the Air Force that work super, super fucking hard, obviously. I've met people I couldn't even do their jobs. It's just standing on the tarmac in Iraq for 12 hours straight. I did some hard stuff, but day in, day out, that's tough. And some tough guys doing all types of different stuff. You got any final words on the draft?
Yeah, don't do it.
Draft?
I'm 41.
Are you gonna pick up that rifle?
They can direct commission me to be a social worker for the people that come back from it.
What are they gonna do? Okay, I got one question. What are they gonna do when they draft a young woman and her father's like, no, I'm gonna go. You're going to leave my daughter here, and I'm going to go. And her brother's like, no, I'm going to go. What are they going to do? That's all you're going to get. You're going to draft someone's wife. There are so many flaws in this current system. It's just not going to happen. It's ludicrous, right?
No, it's crazy to think that they're switching it to male and female for the draft. Every job you apply for in USA Jobs, it's if you're male born before 1971 or after 1971. Are you enlisted for that? Because everyone is, right? You're born and you get enlisted. We're still taking names, but it's just males as far as I'm tracking. When are they switching it to females?
I'll look it up. But that's
So because I hadn't heard of that being implemented. Like I know the male one is still because it's on all the U.S. Like if you're going to apply for a government job, you have to have registered for the draft. That's on the job application if you're a male born after 1971.
The conservatives want it because the liberals are like want all the equality stuff, and so the conservatives are like, fine, you want the equality, then we're signing your daughters and your wives up for the draft. And then the liberals essentially are like, they don't really have a leg to stand on because it's like they've made this argument. So, and they've been pushing the women into like ranger school and all this stuff like that. So it's like, what are they going to like say no? So basically both sides agree. Either one side is out of spite. Like they don't really want it. They don't want the women in the draft, but they're doing it out of spite. All right, Mary.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about AI regulations and ethical considerations?
I think that we need to do more and create more boundaries and have parameters for it because we're in the Frankenstein fashion creating a monster that is going to be out of our control. They're normalizing it to the degree that I was in the doctor's office and I don't remember the name of the drug, but it's for heart, like to keep your heart regular, like to prevent heart attacks. And there's a robot in the commercial with the person, like talking with them about, they don't need this medication, but you do to help you get better. Like they're making it normal. And I just think that we need to make sure that the protections are in place before that normal takes over. Because I think it's a very real possibility with the way the tech is going that it could outsmart us. I don't know how else to say that.
So you brought up a few topics there. That was smattering. What was the last thing you said? You said AI.
We gotta make sure we stop it before it outsmarts us.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that was the topic of the congressional hearing which happened last week. They had Elon Musk and Zuckerberg and the guy from OpenAI. Some of the questions, Congress just doesn't understand technology very well. Obviously, they're kind of asking questions, like feeling around, trying to figure out because they're like, okay, we don't understand this, but we have to do our job. Like they realize that they finally have to do their job. They've waited so long. And they also see it as an opportunity to, if they write the rules, everyone's going to want to know the rules. And so it kind of makes them kind of like in a nice position, right? Before no one cared about AI, they had to wait until people cared so that then they can write the rules when people care. And then they can get the most kudos. They can pin their medal on. They can raise the most funds from people who want AI to be this way or that way or whatever. They can play the game, right? Like they're not really about solving problems. They will have to do something, but it might be good or not. But anyway, they had this meeting, and one of the questions which you just asked is like the question of AI superintelligence. And that would be essentially an AI that could essentially outthink humans and kind of take over from us. And so that's one concept, is like this super intelligent AI that could like defeat us. Then you kind of have the idea of like runaway AI, which is AI that kind of escapes the bounds of its programming and starts improving itself and it's outside of the control of human beings. Now, I don't think it necessarily would have to be super intelligent. You could have a super intelligent AI that is not out of control. It's just like in a building somewhere, or it's not runaway. It was like designed to do what it's going to do. It just happens to be so smart that now it's our master. And so that would be super intelligent. I think these guys think about it and they're geniuses, but they think it's a possibility. Do you think it's a possibility?
I'm sure super intelligence is, but I think the second one is highly likely. What you call that, runaway technology? Like iRobot would be that consideration where the robot was created, and then I guess in that it was like faulty programming. But for whatever reason, I
don't remember the plot of that movie, but
it started to think and feel, and so it operated outside of its programming.
I think so. Like for it to be runaway, like it would have to essentially be able to write its own programming.
Yeah.
Like from permissions wise, like it would have to be able to change its own code. It would have to be able to think up new code for itself, define its own objective, write code to meet that objective, and then.
So then iRobot was that kind of robot.
It was, but was it all by itself, or was there like a human helping it, or some sort?
No, it was all by itself doing it, and like through observation. So because they were all programmed to do the same thing, and for whatever reason, this one. The master of this one, like it got to know, but it was able to then reprogram the way that it thought, and it operated outside of its design, but not in a bad, like in the good way, in the empathetic. I don't know. It was interesting to watch the way it thought.
It's a similar plot to the show Westworld that was on HBO, which dealt with these lifelike kind of robots that look like humans. It was very philosophical and very cool and a very good show. It also touched on that where the main character, Dolores, she jumped her programming. There, they were remembering past experiences, which to me is more plausible than them just like obtaining their own objective and writing their own code. There was a character, it was like Anthony Hopkins' character in Westworld, who had created them, and he was at the end of his life and end of his career. And I think that he essentially kind of like set them loose. I'm surprised more people haven't seen it. It's very philosophical and deals with a lot of these like free will and like, are we computers, and like what are the ethics, how are we supposed to treat these machines that look like us and that we have control over, and if they're stronger than us, is it ethical for them to kill us just because we treated them badly or whatever. It's social commentary. It's interesting. It's good to talk about at a cocktail party with somebody if they've seen the show, just like with any of these interesting shows. But basically it follows like that same plot you said with like iRobot. In both these cases, I'm assuming from the plot lines that there's an outside actor, like a human, that is kind of like tinkering and like makes like one critical change whereby that robot is like activated, is like up and running on its own. Whereas in the real world, I guess that could happen too, but the idea that the robot is just going to like jump its programming and be able to do this kind of like things that like something a human would do, we're kind of anthropomorphizing, but with a robot. We're attributing human characteristics to the robots. Like if I was a robot, I would jump my programming and start thinking for myself, but like it can't do that, at least right now. And the idea that it would be able to do that and then jump out of like whatever test bed it is and like get on the internet and do all this other stuff, I guess that could happen. I mean, if it was poorly secured, if it was like the military and it was like totally secured, then it probably is not going to jump out of its box and get out into the real world. But if someone's making it and it gets connected to the internet, it could easily be connected to the internet. I would say the one thing that makes me think that it could possibly be is there was a news article a while ago. It was kind of clickbait. Someone programmed this AI to do different tasks or gave it ability to interact with these websites, and it hired a TaskRabbit to like do something for it or whatever. And so what it did was it hired a TaskRabbit to fill in the CAPTCHA from a website that it was trying to log into. And the TaskRabbit is like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm blind." Like that was honestly AI news of the year. And like, I don't know if it was like a hoax or if it was manipulated or whatever, but if that is true, that honestly, I didn't read all the advanced research papers and they're all very interesting and stuff, but like whatever that fuck happened there, where that computer was like, I am going to like, because it could have just been like, my name is Fiona. I am a simulated human being that is trying to access this website, and I need you to do this because I don't have the ability to do that. You know, I mean, it was truthful, but it's like it came up with a lie, like a good one. Yeah. I mean, maybe it saw it in a movie. Like maybe it saw it in a movie from like the 1990s because it's seen everything on the internet, and it was like, in this movie, somebody did this and like lied and said they were blind. Or maybe it was just like, what could I possibly tell them? And it looked through a list, or not like a list, but essentially it was like evaluating everything it could possibly say back. This just made sense to it. And it, you know, that, and it was successful. And it knew to like get, and like no human being would get a TaskRabbit to log them into a website unless they're blind, I guess. But even blind people have ways of doing that.
Yeah, audio. You can switch it so that it speaks the CAPTCHA to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, so how did it, I don't know. Maybe it read it about it in a novel that neither one of us have read, and it's read every novel on the internet. It's seen every movie ever created. It's read the entire internet over and over and over again. I mean, I don't know. I mean, a lot of the stuff we don't really know, but that was crazy. You know, I could see that, you know, going somewhere. So they're trying to regulate it. Everybody wants to get in on AI. And it's not just tech entrepreneurs trying to start AI, build AI, get rich off AI, change the world with AI. It's also lawyers and policy people and whatever. It's a very important technology in our world. Everybody wants to make their little bit of money, get involved. Very hot, obviously. It's the most important invention in the history of humans, honestly. A lot of lawyers, a lot of policymakers are bringing up issues, bringing up policies, regulations, and this and that. Everybody wants to get in there. And everybody wants to regulate it. It's like this army of people that want to slow it down, especially in the electric vehicles and the self-driving vehicles. Two different things, both very important. They all just want to slow it the fuck down. And in China, they're going full blast. And we can't be so slow. Have to be going faster. And we can't be like worrying about every little thing. And having these regulations are going to be ridiculous. And they're going to be so these are going to be probably the most heavily lobbied regulations in the history of all fucking regulations. Like, these are the most important regulations that probably will ever have been regulated. Facebook, and everybody's going to be pouring money into DC. Lobbyists and all these shills and everybody just like trying to just change this word, change this sentence to get the AI, get us to be able to do this, do that. And there's going to be all these, you know, this handshaking and all these nice meetings and everything. And it's all leading up to like this framework of this like Western American led framework of ethical AI. And we're going to decide what's ethical and what's not and whatever. And it's all going to be controlled by the government. And it's going to be endless bullshit. And if you want to start a business and have some kind of algorithm, you're going to have to prove that it's not, racist and all this other stuff, just like these environmental studies and everything. And I mean, some of that is important, but I understand that the algorithms sometimes are not the same on the races. I get it. And sometimes they're not fair on this or fair on that. And that will all fucking work itself out over time. This is not a reason for us to slow it down. When in China, they're going 100 miles an hour and they will not stop. What say you, Mary?
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily think, because the technology is still kind of in question, that it's wise to go 100 miles an hour. And what if, because they're going so quickly and they're not testing or regulating things, it blows up literally in their faces? I mean, couldn't it like go completely awry and absolutely crazy because they're not trying to put in the same fail stops or preventative
outline
measures?
The exact scenario where them going faster on AI development than us blows up in their face.
If AI become super intelligent and somehow destroys.
Well, if they make super intelligent AI before us, we might as well kiss our fucking ass goodbye, because he's going to be talking to Chinese and we're not going to be able to talk to it. I mean, under that scenario, it's already over. It's not safe enough. Yeah, I mean, some people are going to die. Self-driving cars on the road, some people are going to smash into each other or whatever. We have car crashes every fucking day now, and there will be less people dying. And eventually, we will reach 0 deaths on the highway.
How is car insurance? Like, my brain goes to those things.
There will be no car insurance. Car insurance will not exist because there will be no car crashes. It'll cost $5 a month in case a tree falls on your car.
Huh? Or your car malfunctions, the engine compartments get wet, wires get crossed.
That's why car insurance doesn't cover engine malfunctions.
Well, there's going to have to be something that covers the technological malfunction of a self-driving car, because if there isn't, when people get into accidents...
There'll be all types of insurance, but car insurance as we know it to cover collisions will not happen, because cars will not collide, because they will all want computers connected to each other. And there will be and eventually it will be 0. Like, if somebody dies in a car accident, it will be on like the nightly news, because everybody will be like, what the fuck? Someone died? It's like if somebody died in an elevator today. We're like, someone died in an elevator? What the fuck happened there? I mean, that's where it will be. But we are going so slow because of the labor unions and the car companies and the oil companies, the fucking oil companies. I mean, everything is related to the oil companies. Okay, so China boosted their EV market because they want to take over electric vehicles, but all their electric vehicles are like shitty. But they own 80% of the international electric vehicle market. They've done a lot of this rare earth mineral mining and a lot of this lithium mining so they can have the batteries and everything like that, which we haven't because of environmental reasons. So we've got supply chain issues. They're starting to roll out some of the American electric vehicles and stuff like that. I don't know how good they're going to be or whatever. Electrical and self-driving are two different things. Electrical, theoretically, will be better for the environment, but you're charging it on electricity that's coming from a power plant that's burning coal or burning nuclear. So, I mean...
And then you have to recycle the battery. So from working in environmental, then there's the getting rid of the waste, one, that went into producing all those batteries, and two, once the batteries no longer are rechargeable, how do you dispose of those properly? And what kind of a landfill is that going to create when that battery acid's leaking all over the place?
Yeah. And so with Tesla, people associate self-driving with electric vehicle. Electric vehicle is just a vehicle that runs on electricity. It has nothing to do with AI. All right. Yeah. What we're talking about is full self-driving cars, FSD cars. That is where we need to win. Like, I mean, yeah, they go on the electric vehicle thing. Like, we need to do better on electric vehicles. We should be pushing that because they will eventually all be electric. We realize this, except for out in the country. Like, if you're out in like Utah on a ranch, you're gonna have a truck that's gonna have gasoline in it for the next 100 years. But in the cities and stuff, it's gonna be all electric, and that's fine. It's the future, but the self-driving cars, that's where the lawyers are coming in, and we have to push through that so hard. And honestly, if it wasn't for Elon Musk and Tesla pushing for full self-driving, the car manufacturers would never make it because they don't give a shit, and it just increases their liability. It's all Elon Musk. But now China wants it too, and they are in a better position to implement self-driving than we are. they're just going so slow. And I know these regulations are going to be so onerous. I don't believe that they're going to do a good job on them. And they're going to be so manipulated and so corporate driven. I'm an entrepreneur, so I don't want them to be skewed against entrepreneurs. If they're skewed against entrepreneurs, that's bullshit. I fucking hate that. And the only people in that motherfucking room are going to be Zuckerberg and his lawyers and these other fucking assholes. And they all want to just control everything for themselves. I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. It'll be over the next 18 months, I think.
I don't know. I don't necessarily, unless, I mean, it would have to have the override option. Like, I just don't trust the whole full self-driving vehicle. I mean, especially when certain GPSs, which lead you off of a cliff, like when that stuff first started, there were all kinds of malfunctions. I mean,
they're all going to have a steering wheel, but I mean, eventually the steering wheel will go away.
Yeah, no, I will have a Corvair.
And ride on a horse and buggy?
I would. Over a self-driving vehicle? Yeah, no, I do not trust a machine to take me from point A to point B on its own. AI is a lot more than that too, because I mean, from going to the hospitals and talking to doctors, how AI is being incorporated into the hospital system and doctor practices, and how certain nurses' tasks are becoming obsolete. So many jobs are being lost to people through, I mean, I personally am grateful to see that I can just self-check out, but the fact that so many human jobs are being lost to things that are being replaced.
It's just stupid jobs, though, like Soviet Union jobs.
They're jobs that kids start off at until they get something in computer science.
Kids do something else. Like, this is kind of the last topic that I gave you, which is called, I said, life after AI. We have AI. I want to talk about what life is going to be like once we get a little bit further. Not 10, 15, but 5 years down the road. Not just the military. I mean, this affects the military. We're not just talking about the military. So the modern iteration of AI, which is this deep learning AI, neural network AI, started in the 2010s and was going up and was very trendy, and it is becoming more mature now. We're getting this second wave, this second version of AI. The first version, kind of low-hanging fruit, very easy stuff that Google was doing, Facebook was doing, some of these other companies were doing. This first gen, they made a lot of money. It was very powerful. They proved AI, and that is going to change everything. Now we're on to that next stage of it, which is Open AI, ChatGPT, other generative AI stuff. That's caused this Hollywood strike and a lot of this other stuff. It's the second generation AI. And so this first generation AI, which is mobile, GPS, directions where you're going and recommendations, like Netflix recommending what to give to you, Uber optimizing your ride versus other people's rides in your city. This stuff that's in our daily life, websites, stuff you go on. I mean, that's all good. It's pretty mature. People don't even realize a lot of time that it's happening, except for the creepy targeted advertising. People realize that, but the rest of the stuff, AI is in your life. It's happening every day. It's kind of like that first gen. Now, second gen, stuff like that. We are going to lose jobs, but we're going to create jobs. The way I like to think about it is that there's so much work that needs to be done in the world, and there's some that could be done or could not, and there's creative work, and there's process work, there's factories that have to be manned, there's Ubers that have to drive around the city, there's taxis and cooks in the kitchen, and there's jobs everywhere. Some jobs will get hit by AI, some won't. There'll be lawyers that go out of business because they basically are doing repetitive shit, or stuff that can be automated with AI, but waitresses aren't going to go out of business because you still need someone there to talk to you and stuff like that. In the nursing home, there will be people working there to give that human touch, but robots will come up and dump out the pills and hand you your ham sandwich. That will be fine, and there won't be as many people working there. There won't be as many people working on a Navy ship. You got an aircraft carrier with 5,000 people on it. If that goes down, that's 5,000 KIA. If you can get that down under 1,000 and still have the same fighting capability or whatever, you're lowering your risk profile. You need less supplies. You need less hamburgers. You need less, get rid of less waste. You need to pay less people. Operations are cheaper. Is that necessarily a bad thing? Do we need 5,000 people on an aircraft carrier? I see it as it's optimizing our society. It's making everything better. We should go faster on it. And the government should just subsidize people that lose their jobs from this AI and be like, look, the government should just go out and say, we're going to do AI as fast as possible because it's very important for us as a country and for all humans. There are going to be economic disruptions. We can afford this. Anyone who's affected by it, you have unemployment, you'll get extra benefits. You'll be like an AI displaced worker or something. And you get some extra benefits, you'll get some education. If you're close to the end of your career, maybe you can retire early and get something from the government. There needs to be some smooth out. Once we create that transition and once we realize maximized economic benefits from AI, we don't have to drive ourselves anymore. We don't have to do all these things that AI can take care of for us. We have more leisure time. There are people out in the world, and we all know them. They don't want to work, or they only want to work 2 days a week or something like that. Like, people can just not work. I'm not saying everyone needs to be like sitting on the couch getting fat like in Wall-E movie, but people can just not work. Like, there can be different classes of workers. Like, I'm a workaholic. I want to work every fucking day. I work all the time. Other people want to work like a little bit, or maybe in different parts of your life you want to be a different worker, but right now you're either a part-time worker, which is shitty, or you're a full-time worker, which is 40 hours a week. But sometimes it's not 40 hours a week. Sometimes it's 80 hours a week. It's like, yeah, you make a big salary, but you work 80 hours a week, and so you're essentially working 2 jobs at half your salary. But some people want to work 80 hours a week, and they want to get compensated more, but it's all based on this 40-hour week, which is based on like factory workers. And not everything is a factory anymore. We're not even an industrialized society. We're an information age society now. I just think all of that has to change. We realize the benefits of AI as soon as possible. We beat the Chinese there. We dominate the world in AI. We lead the future. We get all those benefits. We take care of everybody, smooth out the rough edges and the rough patches. And then when we get into this post-AI future, we can all decide how much we want to work, and that is freedom. Be like, I don't really want to work at all. It's like, okay, the government gives you a couple $100 a month, or you live in some cheap area, but you're happy. Everything in between, and you can flex. I see that as good society, good relationship with economics. And the companies are changing, and the workers are changing, and and the families are changing. The nuclear family's gone. All these things are changing. The government just needs to be more flexible, open things up, and the companies need to be more flexible. But most importantly, we need to push forward on the AI so that we can have the largesse of all this optimization and all. I mean, imagine a family, a husband and wife or whatever, and a teenager, 3 cars for this little fucking family. Just one family, 3 cars. If you had an automated car, they could probably just have 2 cars or 1 car, because the car can drive itself. It can like drive the woman to work, come back, pick the kid up, drive the kid to school. The husband's work at home, take him, do groceries during the day, could pick the groceries up, bring them back to the house, because it just like rolls into the parking lot, and then the grocery guy just puts it in and it just comes back. 1 car versus 3. I mean, how much benefit is that? In everyone's lives, down to the middle class Americans. It would even benefit the poorest people, because there'd be just so much more resources. We'd be able to help more. We'd be able to give more, because we would be a more prosperous society, because we have implemented AI, and we're not going slow as shit, because every lawyer is hand-wringing over every little legal argument they can possibly think up, slowing everything down. Are you on the side of the lawyers or the data scientists?
I don't wear rose-colored glasses the way that it sounds like you do, and I can't imagine a government giving people $200 or $300 or whatever it is just to stay home, since they don't have to work anymore, because we have the technology that exists.
They're gonna have to.
Now they only did the COVID thing for a certain amount of time, and people were still displaced from their jobs. Their jobs no longer existed, because while people were out for COVID, they went in and put all these self-checkout things and all other kinds of stuff. So people came back and there was no job for them. The government's not still handing them out anything.
That's exactly what they did during COVID. They just did like a universal income, basically. They gave everybody money. It was very small, but it was like
for a certain amount of time, and now we're paying for it in inflation. Now the inflation rate is through the roof, trying to break it even.
Pay for it. But with the AI, if we push on the AI, we achieve the benefits in our society, plus we have the best AI in the world. We export our AI. The rest of the world receives benefits. We, as like this good corporate megalith empire, reap some of those rewards. We become we're already the most prosperous in the world. We become more prosperous. We can take care of our people, and we can solve some of these problems, and everyone's boat will come up. Yes, they're going to have to give out money. They're going to have to give out health. They're already giving out healthcare. Any homeless person walks into a hospital, they're going to get healthcare every single day, 24 hours a day. Well, the public hospitals. They're going to have to give out money, because there's not going to be enough work to do. So like, there's not going to be enough jobs. Wages will rise, but there'll be less jobs. So there'll be all these unemployed people. They're going to be rioting. Like, if they don't have jobs, they're all going to have educated people without jobs is the most politically unstable situation that you can have. The country will burn. They have to just give them money and they have to sort out who wants to work and who doesn't want to work, and then apply them appropriately. And then everyone who doesn't want to work needs to be given a little bit of money. And when you're giving people money, they will behave. And because it's like, if they go out on the street, carjacking or whatever, they'd be like, all right, you're not getting your money. You know what I mean? And it'll apply more pressure to them. But right now, there's no carrot and stick.
We're a capitalistic society, and that sounds really communistic.
It's
I'm
just
not.
the next evolution. I mean, they're gonna have to. You can't have people.
Do you
in the
really think they're going
streets.
to do that? Because people are in the street now, and
After AI, when unemployment after AI, unemployment might be like 45%.
So what's going to happen probably is just the nature of jobs is going to change, but the government's not going to give people handouts for very long.
All the warehouses, robots. All the factories, robots. All the truck drivers, robots. All the Uber drivers, robots. All the taxi drivers, robots.
People are going to break the robots.
Legal work, a lot of the medical industry is going to be robots. Elder care, robots. I mean,
people will definitely break the machines. There's just no way. They're going to revolt. Like the psyche of the human is not going to be able to handle just getting handed money and sitting at home.
You have to sort out who wants to work and who doesn't want to work. There are people, who will be happy to sit at home.
No, they think they will be, but they won't be.
Yeah, they will. I know people that would love to sit at home.
They'll be depressed, and they'll need more doctors and medicine.
You're just ascribing your own personality to other people. There are all different types of personalities.
No, I'm saying that if you're not physically active and you're just sitting home, like, I mean, your brain begins to degenerate, or your body begins to degenerate. Like,
I say it's good for them.
Well, I'm saying, though, because it's not good for them, then medical-wise, they're going to need more doctors or visits over the long term because they're not operating the way they were designed to operate.
I'm not saying everyone's going to sit at home. Some guy might be playing the guitar. Some guy might be surfing. Some woman might be a professional ballet or trying to be a professional ballet dancer, but doesn't have like a job. You know what I mean? Because like all these menial jobs are going to be taken up by robots. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
With no human oversight?
I mean, well, eventually there'll be less and less. In the military right now, you have a squad of like 9 or 10 or whatever. It's going to be like 9 or 10 plus a robot. And then it's going to be like 8 plus 2 robots. And then it's going to be like 4 plus 8 robots. And then eventually it's just going to be one guy with like 12 robots. And that's going to be like an army squad. And eventually it's going to be like no dudes. It's
so
just all robots.
One other question then.
Yeah. Wouldn't
this technology be able to be hacked by the enemy and then turn against us?
Anything electronic can be hacked.
So how is that a good idea in war?
Any weapon can be countered, right? Like if we have robots, they have robots. Can they hack our robots? Can we hack their robots? Can we each hack each other's robots? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
That's just part of war.
And yeah, but then take it broader. Could they then hack the robots that we have like in country?
Yeah.
So that no, that's a bad idea. It's a bad idea.
I mean, we need robots.
It makes people super. I mean, it makes you even more vulnerable as it is. Putting everything online and digital so that if a couple satellites get blown out, we practically can't function, made us super vulnerable. Now you want to have all of the major industries from people taken over by robots that can be hacked into and taken over and controlled by an enemy force. Like, how is that a good idea?
I mean, we can hack their stuff. They can hack our stuff.
No, this isn't like playing G.I. Joe with plastic pieces. Like, there's lives in the middle of all of that. Like, that is not a good idea.
It's just part of the game, man.
No, I'm not part of the game. We're not game pieces. I'm not a piece in somebody's chess game. No. For some things, is it good? Yes. The fact that they can do surgeries now laparoscopically and like they have that little camera in there. Like, yeah, awesome. Better for healing time. Good for the doctors. Makes it more precise. There's a time and a place. There's things where I think it's acceptable, but I don't think creating soldiers is one of those. I don't think them taking on human form. Like, you want to use the little stuff like hey, I saw that you liked this sweater. I think you'd like that. Or you like this movie. I recommend this one on Netflix. Cool. But as soon as you get into like, this is 6'2" bot boy and he's going to like vacuum your carpet. It's like, well, if bot boy gets wet or malfunctions and then like I wake up with bot boy around no. No.
So you think the robot's going to get wet and choke you to death in your bed?
I don't know. It could be pre-programmed or reprogrammed by an angry ex or something. I'm not sure.
That actually is the most likely scenario. But
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not saying.
If he knows how to code, I mean.
I'm not gonna trust that situation. I will be the person, like I said, I will find myself off the grid with a Corvair.
All right.
I think it's a bad idea to make ourselves that much more vulnerable. Do I think AI itself is bad? No. Do I think we need to be in the technology war? Yes. Do I think we need to be prepared with weapons? Yes. Do I think the idea of creating a human-like robot that's going to take the place of people, which I know it's happening because it's been on all the movies for like at least a decade, I think it's a bad idea. in every one of those movies, it turns out to be a bad idea.
It's a fucking movie, dude. This isn't real life.
Yeah, but they're pre-programming us to be used to it. And I feel like that's what movies have done, is they get people used to seeing certain things. And then all of a sudden you see it and you're like, oh, well, I've seen it in the movies. I knew it could be real.
Yeah, I mean, art reflects reality, right? They can
Right.
It's possible for human beings to see the near future and be like, we're probably going to have robots. We're probably going to be, in floating cars or something. And then that goes into movies. It's not necessarily programming. There is programming, but it's not necessarily that's all that it is, I mean,
yeah, I just don't think it's the best idea in the world to.
You have to think about what's actually going to happen, not what you've seen in movies. You know what I mean? Like what?
No, but I mean, you're describing some things that are movie-like saying there could be 2 humans to 8 soldiers, to 8 robot soldiers, or what?
In 30 years and 40 years, yeah. I mean,
that's scary.
Probably, yeah.
Because they can be hacked into or coded or reprogrammed by someone that is not us.
It's all technology. Like humans, I think we talked about this on another show, or I've talked about it in the past, or I've talked about it on one of my own videos. We're not going to get attacked by the technology. They're not going to turn on us and kill us.
Okay,
now you're right. Like they hack it. Like maybe in one base they hack some robots and they go on a shooting spree and they kill some other robots or they kill a few humans or whatever. Yes, maybe that. Do I think they're going to hack the entire military and take over our entire military, turn it on our country? I don't think that's realistic. You mentioning to retard the process and to slow it down, or it's not a good idea, or we shouldn't do it this way, or we shouldn't go as fast as possible. I disagree with that because I see humans in the military and in our regular life as fusing with the technology. The technology is going to come into us. We might be at the center of it or whatever. We might wear it as a backpack. It's I got my technology on my back.
Like Iron Man?
Or something. We got this cell phone and then the car is a computer. So we're riding around in a computer. We've got a computer in our pocket. We go home and we watch a computer. You know what I mean? It's all around us. And eventually there's going to be stuff inside of us and on our skin. And, it's going to be reading our minds and stuff like that. So we're going to be one. And I don't see any reason to slow that down. I mean, it's just going to make us live longer, be more effective, and just take us on our natural progression as humans, which is basically join with this technology. And with robots around us, because the robots are just never going to be able to think like a human brain anytime soon. And even if they can think as smart or fast as us, human brain biologically is going to think differently than the computer. It's going to need both. It's not just going to be computer or human brain. It's going to be both. And that's the super machine, is that human machine teaming. Until eventually the super intelligent AI, maybe in 200 years, 300 years, is all by itself. But super intelligent AI is not going to be little silicon transistors and circuits and all this stuff. It's going to be biological technology. They're going to have this it's going to be a soup of all this biochemical cellular microbiology shit that's in the movies. It's glowing blue and it's making all these connections and it's 10,000 human brains in liquid form just getting churned up like a Slurpee machine. And that's connected to some regular computers that are helping it. And there's other systems, but that will be super intelligent AI. I mean, it's going to be biological. It's going to be technological. It's going to be all these things. And, thinking that it's going to take over us, we're going to be it. It's just going to be one. You see that, or do you see something else?
I see what you're saying, and I can see that would be a direction that it would head. I think that the people working together with the technology would be optimum. I just don't like knowing that. I mean, I'm not saying that the entire army of the United States would be completely hacked into by a foreign force. I'm just saying, if we are in a an area where they're there and they're able to attack it the same way an IED drone they could do by remote, if they could somehow hack into the technology, when you're in front of them. I'm not saying from another country they'd be playing on their computers and all of a sudden our soldiers would turn around and Yeah. I'm just saying the prospect is kind of scary to me because that's still human life, and also then they have our tech. If we're in a combat situation and somebody's able to hack into us in that situation, they could then steal the tech and or turn it on us in that situation.
Obviously that sucks. I mean, that is not what you want. It sucks if they poison your food. It sucks if they poison your water. Mm-hmm. It sucks if they sneak up on you from behind. I mean, there's a lot of things at war that are not great. But I think we'll get there. I mean, I know I sound super terribly pessimistic, but I am optimistic. I'm more optimistic by my ideas, and then hopefully my friends' ideas that we have things we agree on, and there's other stuff that I'm not so focused on that matter as well, that other people care about, and that's fine. But all of these ideas coming out through this channel into the world, even if only so many people see it right now, or it takes a year or whatever to build up. I mean, I'm more optimistic that we're able to put some kind of alternatives, some kind of new ways of thinking, younger ways of thinking out there that can hopefully make a difference. And I see it lining up with other people, what we're saying, lining up with other people, like in the book the kid wrote, or other people out there who have ideas. And I think eventually we'll all coalesce, and there will be some sort of coming together of like, this military thing is not working, something has to change. There'll be politicians, I think something will change. It won't be perfect, but it'll get us over the next finish line or whatever.
Well, we thank you all so much for taking time to listen to us and the ideas that we've put forth on AI and recruiting and stop loss and different ways of getting people to join our armed services. We look forward to seeing you again with more topics.
Awesome. You're way more professional than I am. So it's true. But Real Veteran News, building it up. Episode 2 went well. Mason was supposed to fucking be here, but he backed out. But I'm going to get you, and you're coming on, and you're going to be part of the team. We're not going to leave you behind. That's about it. Let's, next time, I believe I got Brandon scheduled, so he'll be back, and let's go. All right, that's it.
All right.
Bye now. Bye.